That's my problem with Trump right now. He wants to run again. We don't really need him to run again. I know there's a lot of MAGA people. By the way, I don't think they're terrorists. They're just people that are... They love having someone... They don't care about his personality flaws, but they love having someone who truly loves the country, who's willing to spit in the face of people that don't love the country. And they really connect with that. So I can understand that. Yep. I want that to be a principle, not a man.
Yes.
And the thing is, he's not capable. He is so different. The things that allow him to spit in the face of the enemy, and by the enemy I don't mean like he's going to kill them, I just mean the opposition. The things that allow him to do that are the same things that we don't like about him. What psychotic reason does he have to take classified documents to his stupid place? And then there's this whole battle where they're trying to get him back, and you don't just give him back? Why didn't he just give him back? Why didn't he just come and say, yeah, go ahead, take whatever you want or whatever? Like,
that's true. Yeah.
And
fair criticism.
And like, but he can't do that. But the reason he can't do it is the same thing that allows him to walk into a room with a bunch of European leaders and say, we're out of NATO if you don't pay.
Right.
And then walk out, and they're all just sitting there like, that never happened before. And they're like, is he serious? I think he's serious. And you can't separate those things. I wish we could, because I hope we can. I hope someone, maybe DeSantis or someone, can come in and still fly over to Paris, glad hand everybody, have everybody begging for our help, and say, we're not going to spend our money on this. And we're doing really good over in America, having cleaner air and having cleaner water than we had 20 years ago. And you guys can figure out your way of doing it. We're not sending money out to the world to like work on that. And that would be amazing. And but then at the same time not have all these personality flaws that just cause tons of friction.
I mean, he's so toxic, it's crazy. But I think that's possible. The reason he can do that is because he's not a career politician, and he doesn't owe a million favors. Think of what it takes to get into those high ranks. It's just, deal upon deal upon deal. His deal was to make money. His deal was to get like a golden tower in Vegas. That was the deals he was wielding. Other people were brokering power. And so when you're in that world, guess what? You owe people favors, and they're going to call them in when you get into that position of power. And at the end of the day, you got to do that. And who knows? I mean, this is a thing that I've learned about life, is that one way to try to like control people is try to get a bunch of secrets on them. And maybe like you don't get to be 50 years old without having a couple of skeletons in your closet automatically, just as part of being a human. And there haven't been enough of those exposures where it's like normalized. Anyway, that's just a theory. But like the point is that Trump was playing a different game than everyone else, and that was his power. And I would love a politician to be able to do that, but I just think it's almost like corruption is a function of your time in government. Even
DeSantis, I'm sure, has to play the political game to the max. And this is the time, if you watch politicians talk right now, because there are some reporters that push them and ask them questions. It's rare, but it does happen. You can see them weaseling. All of them. They're just all weaseling around. And so some of the big questions are, do you want Biden to come campaign for you? So the implication of the question is Biden toxic? And another question are you going to vote for Mitch McConnell to be the Senate leader if you guys take the Senate? Are you going to vote for, I'm drawing a blank on the conservative dude in the House, but are you going to vote for him or Nancy Pelosi or whatever? And so they'll ask AOC about Nancy Pelosi, and she'll like tiptoe around it, and everybody's playing games.
Yes.
And that is messed up. I don't know why in the world you can't just answer the question one of three ways. Yes, I'm going to vote for Mitch McConnell. No, I'm not going to vote for Mitch McConnell. Or the other answer is, I have not decided if I'm going to vote for Mitch McConnell, and I will make my vote based on all the dynamics that are happening at the time of the vote. They can't even say that. What's wrong with that?
Like, that's
like,
a great
how
answer.
dangerous can it be? But the thing is, that's dangerous, because if Mitch McConnell hears that, he's going to start making phone calls.
All
and
the political calculus.
It's just psychotic. You literally have to avoid even hinting at anything. And actually, by not saying yes, those phone calls are happening. But you're depending on other phone calls that are depending on you
Right.
not saying yes, and so it's crap.
Politicians should be required to answer within 200 milliseconds of a question, so they don't have time to weasel their way through all the political capital or calculus.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. It exists with Trump. That's the beauty. He says what is exactly on his mind.
Yeah.
And if you look at someone like Ben Shapiro
Yeah.
or some of the great people that are in talk radio and things like that, Rush Limbaugh, he doesn't have to think. He didn't have to think about what to say on anything. He knew where he stood. Everything was on principle. He had thought about it and talked about it so much that he knew the answer. But these politicians aren't like that. And they can't do it. But Trump does do it. Trump isn't as, like, you take someone like Ben Shapiro, who's just a genius. And by a genius, I mean he is both capable and practiced. Trump speaks his mind, so he's got the capability, but he doesn't know what and as president, you have to face so many different topics. And so, like in COVID, for example, he said a lot of dumb crap.
Yeah.
But it's like, who
Put a light
cares?
in it.
What do
Can
you
we swallow
expect?
a
He's
light
not.
bulb? Right.
Yeah,
right.
he's
That's
not
not
a
his role. That was never his role.
But I appreciate it still. I appreciate him shooting off whatever he thinks, and because that's the way I want people to act. That's the way I want people to talk. And it's okay if you don't know, or you like flub up,
Or you even
whatever.
get it wrong.
Yeah.
Like, as long as you can recognize that you got it wrong. And I think that people that are in that position, I don't know, like there's a reason why they're not worried and massively filtering everything they say. And you even look at like a figure like Zuckerberg on Joe Rogan's podcast. There wasn't a word that he said that wasn't filtered. And it's because he's in the same political web as any politician. He's got all of his chief of staff and all of his direct reports and all of his investors and everyone. He's a king and he has a court. Mm-hmm. And all of the members of his court have all of their demands and influence upon him. And he has to do all that calculus to like figure this stuff out. And honestly, maybe it's a privilege not to have to think that way and not to have to manage all of those complexities. But I think in the terms of in the case of like Facebook or a big tech company, that little king is way more effective for the world than a politician. And when a politician is doing those kind of filterings and those kind of calculuses, it's more about serving themselves and just brokering power. And so it would be interesting if we could find some way to get more people that are Trump-esque, but way less toxic.